Of recent, I have been very much drawn to Katha Upanishad, and I would like to share uh, what I have felt very deep. While the preamble of the Katha Upanishad is an interesting story, a 8-year-old or some young child of a Brahman sage, Vajasvaraya or somebody of that name, who is actually donating all his previously received cows and lands and all that, but mainly the cows are all very old, decrepit, and the kid is not understanding why his father giving away in dhana, in donation, all these old cows which don't really produce any milk. It is going to be a burden for the people who take it. And the kid does not understand this. This is to again bring a very essential point that Brahman, even in those days when they received a lot of donations, alms, and doing the yajna and all that, beyond a point, they have, every 5 years they have to replenish. They give away even to other Brahmins and whoever they can. And then they go on to receive more. This is how it happens. Even the king used to give a good 80-90% of what they had in a Kumbh Mela, and then they go back and again prosper and then come back to give back. So this is a very interesting society back then. So a king was never growing too rich. Neither was a Brahman going too rich. It was a well-balanced equation. Not in the current days. Current days, the wealth accumulates at one or two or few places, and it never gets distributed that evenly. We have lost that quality if we think about it. And whoever said 2% of wealth donation and all is not right. It is bigger percentage than that. Anyway, we'll leave at that. So the kid actually, to bring this point back to his father, pokingly asks, I think, Father, are you going to give me away too? Because I am of no much use. I am actually a pain to mother and you. Basically, you guys have to take care of me. I haven't really become a scholar or any Vedic person yet. So I am a burden only. So you are giving all these burdensome cows and whatnot. So are you going to give me back to somebody too? So he's actually making a very succinct point to his father, saying that, like, you're giving those old cows. And the father is really busy with the day's activity and he's pissed off. Maybe he gets the kid's point. And the father says, yeah, I'm going to give you back to Yama, the Lord of Death. And so the kid thinks, okay, father is going to give me to Yama, so I better go to Yama. And so he goes on his way. It's a figurative expression. Let us not take it literally. Maybe it somewhat literally happened to, who knows. Let us not get into that finer detail because this is an Upanishad. We want to get to the core of the content that was talked about there. So then the kid finally reaches Yama's door, and Yama is on his way to collect his souls, or what he does. So he takes 3 days to come back. So he says, oh, I have made a guest wait at my doorstep for 3 days. So ask 3 boons and I'll give you all the riches and everything. So the kid, first thing he asked was, I have seemed to have angered my father. So level set that relationship back when I go back. So, and granted. And then the second thing he asks is a very interesting question. What he says is, apparently people all suffer and they need to look for donations and dana and all that. So what would be the procedural way to acquire a life in a swarga? Even he has heard about it, heaven and all that, so that they can live for a long time in that stage. So whatever they can, whatever pujas they can do, yajnas and all that. So teach me that, so that that can be formally acquired. It is like 4-year college degree, MBA, America, Europe, or even within India, IIM, all that, so that you get higher pay and all that. So he is asking a direct attribute that can be sustained and passed on from one generation to another, wealth-wise and all that. So Yama says, "Oh, I will teach you the yaga that can take somebody to Swarga and all good stuff, the karmic way, the Vedic way," and he teaches him a specific yajna. And in fact, today it is called as Nachiketa yajna. And he teaches him how to construct the fire and all that, to that point that when the kid Nachiketa, in a Q&A format, gives back all the procedures that was taught to him. The Yama is so impressed that he says this procedure should be called as Nachiketa fire or Nachiketa Yajna from this point on. Anyway, we can always talk about this to any scholar in Yajurveda. I think it is in Yajurveda, Taitreya, this comes along. Anyway, that's also beside the point for this Upanishad discussion. I want to quickly get to the core. So there are some 6 Valli. Valli in Tamil is a creeper, but here also it is used in that format only. There are 6 different chapters. The first one talks about the preamble, the story setting, and all this Nachiketa fire. So when finally the core question is, the kid asks, okay, what happens when somebody dies? What happens to them? Where do they go? Who comes back? What happens to them? And Yama tries to dissuade him. He says, ask any other question, man. This is a deep question. Just like somebody asked Vivekananda. One day Vivekananda was saying, ask me any question, and today I'll answer. And he says, what is Maya? And he says, no, you don't want this question, ask some other question. And finally, in the course of Vivekananda explaining the Maya, the person has an experience of Maya. He sees everybody is Maya. Vivekananda himself is in a ocean of Maya. Everybody is a bubble, all that. And then finally Vivekananda says, you want to be not in Maya, go to Himalayas and find a hill and lock yourself up and, do a tapas and give up your body or something like that. That is how to live. Anyway, back to Katha Upanishad. So Yama, then the kid says, if Yama cannot answer, who can answer me this? And kid is persistent about his third boon. So the third boon is about explaining what this, the why we are born, what happens after death. So Yama has to start at a very fundamental, what is the core? And this is the essence what I want to get to. I had to build this stage for 7.5 minutes to get this here. The fundamental thing Yama says is for the men, people, Manava, Manushya, O Nachiketa, is Preyas and Shreyas. You always have 2 roads in front of you for everything to, once you are manifest. Vyaktam. Avyaktam means non-manifest. Vyaktam, Vyakti. We say, no, he is a Vyakti. So Vyaktam means you are manifest, you are formed. Nama, Rupa has come. You have got a body and you have got a shape. You got a Rupa. Whether even if you don't know the name of that animal, you'll say, that animal. So that's another name only. So Nama, Rupa, and you have become Vyaktam. So in this Vyakta Sthiti, with Manushya, Manava, Varnakrama and all that, you have got ability to speak and understand. The mind of linguistics is born. In this state, when you are, what happens? You have, you're living an animal life, but you're not exactly living an animal life. You procreate like an animal, maybe, but not exactly. You know who you are. You have got a thought. Good from bad and all that, But in that process, there is one other thing that happens. You are chasing after, certain activities and events, and there are 2 things in front of you. Preyas and Shreyas. Preyas means whatever is endearing. Preyas, I want to see PS2. Who cares whether I see Ponniyin Selvam 2 or not? Only I care. Preyas, because it's an endearing thing for me. I want a jalebi. It's an endearing thing for me. My son, my daughter, their life has to be good. Really, your Purohit and your family priest and your family members may wish good, but really, who really cares? That's like praise. The perfect example is Drona, Dhritarashtra, they're all praise driven, endearment. They are bound to that Priya. So, Preyas means Priya, whatever is endearing. So endearment, choosing after, some people have artha, kama. These two all lead to prayers. Out of the four purusharthas, the two are prayers related. The rest two are Shreyas related. Interesting mix. Even the purushartha is of four. Artha, kama, dharma, moksha. Anyway, so Preyas is artha and kama. So desire, all that. Anyway, Preyas is that. And then Shreyas is what is good. So if my true intent of me sharing this is for the good of few people, one other person, it is a good. Even for my own good, for my liberation, let us say, it's good. It is for the welfare, it is for the good. It has nothing to do with endearment. It has nothing to do with profit. It has nothing to do with monetizing. It has nothing to do with all that. So Preyas and Shreyas. When a person, when a Vyakti, after Vyaktam in this Srishti, if he is chasing after, Preyas, then he is trapped. Samsara, he is bound. He is going to be in that world. But if he is after Shreyas, he is doing all the Nishkama karma. All these things are Nishkama. So that karma will get him out, So that is the fundamental thing that is entrapping. Yama gives this child. So this is how people get hooked onto. So until certain time, from amoeba to a Manushya Rupa, it is a progressive, there is no karma. There is no karma for a tiger killing a deer and all that. It just progresses. Because, as Bhagavad Gita says, you become the animal that you think of, or you do so much sin that you have to again go back to the back of the line and then you progress. It is like COVID pass, I say. COVID passing is like in the COVID year, everybody passed. No exams, pass. 6th to 7th, pass. No exams, 7th to 8th, pass. All that was happening. So like that, it's a COVID passing, direct pass in the examination, in the school structure. But when it comes to Manusha, once you got Buddhi, once you got Manas and all that, now you have a responsibility and to act, every act from these two perspectives, Preyas and Shreyas. One is entrapping, endearing, the other is liberating. So that is one thing. Then he goes on to explain in few other vallis. By this time they have already covered 3 or 4 valli. So another 2-3 valli. Valli is just verses and paragraphs, and how it was written in 6 valli, I believe, 6 different verses or verse chapters, whatever. So then he says, believe it, everybody has got this Atman. Is the same thing what Kapila Vasudeva gave to Devahuti. Same thing what Krishna started with Arjuna in chapter 2. Everything after the Kankshal and all are blown, all different Panchajanya and all the different Kankshals are blown at the start of Bhagavad Gita. Atman, it's a fundamental unit. You can't see it, you can feel it, you can burn it, but it is there. It is what continues. It is eternal. It is Brahman. All that. And then similar to Mandukya Upanishad, here also I like this part. I think 3rd or 4th or 5th. I don't remember the number. It jumps into that you are yourself the divine because you have the Atman. And you are Advaita. Again, Advaita is taught. It is yoga. Yoga for the first time is mentioned in Katha Upanishad. Yoga, the term. Yoga, you have to go in union with that. You being the Vyakta, the factor of entity that, like I am perceiving myself as Shankar, Rajesh, to my family, and sand in my writings and all. So this entity has to go and merge back with that Atman, the Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram. It has to go back there. So Yogam, Yogam is conjoinment. So that yoga is within. You yourself are the divine. And how does that happen? By understanding the Om. It, like Mandukya Upanishad, a frog that comes out of the swamp into the land and finds freedom. Same thing here too. There is a similarity to Mandukya Upanishad. In fact, Katha Upanishad has been like a lot of great philosophers, Ralph Waldo Emerson and many other, they all have embraced it because there is no death to the soul and all that. It explains all that fundamentals, and then it says, know your Om. What is Om? The deep within, the breath cycle is the Brahman breath cycle. What you are breathing is Brahman. So, Katha Upanishad, all this I got from just Wikipedia alone. I have read this in few other versions. Just spend some time and you will get brilliant insights. But it is all the perspective to knowing. Anyway, Arunachala Siva, Arunachala Siva, Arunachala Siva, Arunachala Siva, Arunachala Siva, Arunachala Siva.